Welcome back. Do you believe in love at first sight, and in a game of life and death? The first time this girl saw him, she made a personal decision to be with a guy, even at the risk of her life. The day Ayaka woke up from a coma, she opened her eyes and met her destined man Ken. But unfortunately, they were kidnapped at this time in a strange building and placed in a bizarre game. Who are you? Where are we? There are 8 villagers and 3 werewolves among the 12 people. There are 3 priesthoods among the villagers, namely the psychic, the soothsayer, and the guards. The soothsayer can check the identity of one person every night. The psychic can determine whether the person who dies each night is a werewolf or a villager. The guard can protect one person from the werewolf attack every night, but cannot protect himself. In addition, the game has a third-party camp, the fox. The fox is classified as the villager's side, and if the diviner divines the fox at night, the fox will be eliminated from the game the next day. At the end of the game, whether the villagers or werewolves win, if the fox is still alive it will become a victory for the fox alone. Simply put, it is a little difficult for the fox to win the game. Everyone looked at the identity card in their hands and Ayaka was the fox. Before the werewolf action, everyone introduced themselves to each other. Star first proposed to the crowd that the identity of the psychic medium was very important and could lead the villagers to victory, so they should come out early to prove their identity and be protected by the guards tonight. Psychics, please raise your hands. 3, 2, 1, 0. As a result, Ayaka, Ran, the man with glasses and the man in the street, 4 people raised their hands at the same time. Of course, for better disguise, Ayaka as the most dangerous fox identity disguised as a psychic is perhaps the safest choice. After the discussion, the crowd dispersed. Upstairs, Ayaka accidentally found Ken and a girl named Anna. Then an inexplicable feeling of jealousy arose, and Ayaka made a silent note of the name Anna. The first night came quickly. With no clues, the crowd pointed the finger at the short-haired one who had been disrupting the rhythm. Short hair was straightforward from the start that the game was boring and not into it at all, and at the last minute declared himself as a guard, but no one believed him. He was eventually voted out of the game. It really kills people. Late night wolves came and Ran and Yuki showed up late. But there were clearly 3 wolves, and the third wolf was late to show up. The 2 didn't wait too much and opened the first one's room. For the werewolves, the presence of the soothsayer is the most threatening. Ran lied about being a soothsayer during the day. At this time, his purpose is simple, that is, to get rid of the remaining 3 people who falsely claim to be soothsayers. The first target is one of the passerby man. Along with a killing scream, the first body appeared in front of the crowd. The werewolf had killed him. The crowd gathered for a second time to deliberate, and the remaining 3 psychics simultaneously released last night's checking information. 3, 2, 1. No. In order to pretend identity, and also to hold the selfishness, Ayaka gave Ken a vote for the identity of the villagers. Ran, on the other hand, gave a vote to Mary. The man with the glasses jumped out behind him and said, I divined the passerby man and found his body the next day, which means he was a fox. It is well known that foxes have a very special identity, and will be eliminated immediately if their identity is checked by a psychic. Glasses man, a fool, checked the road man who was hit by a werewolf knife on the first night, so he was very firm about the road man's fox identity, not knowing that Ayaka was the fox. How terrible can a woman's jealousy be? This girl, in order to steal back her beloved man, even moved to kill. Ran quietly came to Ayaka's room and pretended to conspire with her to get rid of the glasses man, the second psychic, tonight. In Ran's opinion, only a true psychic would be so confident as to say that he had divined the fox. So Ran came to Ayaka to canvass for votes, and asked them to vote for the glasses man. But Ayaka's heart at this time there is a small mind, their beloved Ken and Anna very close. In order to untie the knot in her heart, Ayaka mustered up the courage to come to the penthouse to find Ken and take the initiative to ask him about Anna. As soon as he talked about the girl, the corners of Ken's mouth couldn't help but turn up slightly. Ayaka then became more aware that Anna's presence would be her biggest obstacle, so Ayaka approached Ran again and said that she wanted to vote together, but not for the man with glasses but for Anna. From then on, the name Anna was deeply engraved in Ayaka's heart. All those who stand in the way of her and Ken have to die. The next night the voting began. Ayaka naturally led the votes to Anna. Anna becomes the target of everyone's attacks and eventually falls in pain in front of Ayaka. That night the wolves are out again, but the third wolf still does not appear. Ron and Yuki targeted Star. Star was the most clear-headed and calm one from the beginning of the game, and his presence was undoubtedly a stumbling block for the wolves. After dawn, Star's body was found outside the building. At this point in the game, 4 people were eliminated and 8 people survived. Ron suddenly turned around and told the crowd, "Ayaka is actually a werewolf." In order to avoid catching fire, Ayaka had no choice but to pretend to be a psychic again and managed to escape a disaster. At this time, Yuki, who had been silent before, was suddenly identified as a werewolf by the man with glasses. Seeing that her identity was exposed, Yuki denied it with emotion. That night Ron took the initiative to get up and point the finger directly at Ayaka. Generally speaking, according to the law of standing in the middle and drawing more than one must die, he is bound to have no good end. Not surprisingly, Ron was eliminated from the competition by the crowd. That night, the crowd proposed the fairest and most effective way to stop the werewolf operation. Rock, paper, scissors to choose one person. Everyone except this person is tied with a rope and the werewolf is automatically eliminated from the game if he does not perform the kill. Conversely, if someone is killed, then that untied person must be the werewolf. Just when the crowd thought the night would pass peacefully, the werewolf still appeared. The girl was tied to the bed and struggling in pain, and the next thing she knew, she found a pocket knife at the end of the bed. The girl breaks free of the ropes and walks furiously to the door to the other girl's room to finish her off. The girl who was killed made a bondage suggestion, almost causing Yuki to be eliminated as a result. But luckily, her werewolf teammate finally showed up at Yuki's bedside ready with a pocket knife to leave one last hand. When the girl resisted, the dagger accidentally stabbed the right side of Yuki's face. This time the werewolf identity was undoubtedly exposed. After dawn, Yuki had to confess to everyone, "I am a werewolf." And the last werewolf. It turns out that Yuki and Ron are the 2 werewolves in the whole game. But the strange thing is that the 2 of them act every night. The third wolf is late to appear. Yuki goes on to confess that the passerby man eliminated on the first night was not checked and killed by the psychic, but solved by her. So the fox that the glasses man thought was him was not him, but someone else. Yuki therefore calls on everyone to vote for the fox first in tonight's poll. Because once Yuki is voted out by everyone as the last werewolf on the field, then the final winner of the whole game will be the fox. After the crowd dispersed, Ayaka came to Yuki's room alone, not expecting Yuki to reveal Ayaka's identity in one word. "Yo, fox!" Ayaka, whose identity was revealed, was very calm and asked Yuki who the third werewolf really was. At that moment, Mary pushed in the door and said that she was the third werewolf. When the werewolves are on the move every night, Mary never shows up. The werewolves are not in action every night, and Mary is not present. Because Ron is secretly in love with Mary, he takes advantage of this and Mary is secretly protected by Ron. But unexpectedly, Ron ended up with nothing. Mary continues to confess that the form at this time is very unfavorable to Ayaka. Ken and she used to be revolutionary comrades, so the 2 wolves plus Ken, Ayaka already has 3 votes. To determine Ken's feelings, Ayaka went to the roof again to find Ken. Sure enough, Ken's unwavering trust in his former comradeship completely killed Ayaka's heart. Ayaka finally realized that it was not Ken she liked, but her own self who liked Ken. The last night Ayaka began the final rebellion. "There are still foxes among us. Ken, think about it." Unexpectedly, Yuki's last vote was for Momo, and the final result was Momo out. At this point there were still 2 villagers left on the field, 2 werewolves and 1 fox. The TV announced the final result. The number of werewolves and villagers were the same, but the fox finally survived and the fox won. In a flash, the collars around everyone's necks started to activate. Only Ayaka survived.